Do you ever just get in the moment and feel like every musician has a story to tell?
Yeah, I would say that every person has a story to tell.
No, that's not true. Some people are boring. Let's put it out there.
You talking about Zach?
I'm not talking about
Okay.
Zach. So you you threw him under the bus.
Just kidding, Zach. You're a fun, interesting person. I can't wait to see somebody.
We're talking best music biopics.
Yep.
Some people call them biopics. That's okay. You can.
One person definitely did once, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's whatever. Autobiographical movies about musicians.
Does not a biopic sound like a procedure?
It does, but enough people say it to where I think each biopic or biopic is okay.
No, I will never.
But I will always say biopic.
Biopic, yeah.
Just because it sounds a little bit cooler.
And it sounds close to Biodome, which rules.
Biodome is not a music biopic by any means. First, let's get it out of the way. 8 Mile, quasi-biopic.
Yeah. Can I start with that?
With 8 Mile?
Not with 8 Mile, but use 8 Mile as a jumping off point to...
Well, I think we could talk a little bit more about 8 Mile.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Marshall Mathers, a.k.a. Eminem,
a.k.a. Rabbit,
a.k.a. B-Rabbit.
Yep. His
performance in this is like Oscar award worthy. I mean, it won Best Song, but he could have won Best Actor.
Do you think it's strange he hasn't done more, or do you think he can only do like his life?
I think he could have had a career as an actor and been just as successful.
Well, even just like his early stuff is very character based, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's just and I guess I know it's not the only one, but you know, like that theme of the person playing the person. I guess like the Beatles, technically, Hard Day's Night. You know, it's kind of autobiographical, but yeah, I think really the one that everyone remembers 8 Mile. They remember the song. Yeah,
Anthony Mackie's breakthrough performance.
Yeah, Mekhi Phifer.
Oh man,
there's no Mekhi Phifer.
It is just a great movie.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon.
Oh man, he just sneaks into things and you forget.
He snuck into the Met Gala. I don't know if you saw it.
Did he really?
There's a clip on Twitter or somewhere where he's just walking by. It's me, hi, and he's holding a bag of lace.
It's almost like the Criterion bag that he has.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think one that I love that I think kind of warps things a little bit in a good way is I'm Not There, the Bob Dylan,
Todd Haynes. Each actor is
Todd Haynes as like, you know, like it really becoming more and more mainstream. And it's, I think, yes, each actor is Bob Dylan, but not really. There is no Bob Dylan.
Right.
They all play. What makes this one so interesting is they're not playing the character. They're playing almost the era of music.
Yes, the idea of who Bob Dylan was at that time.
Because I don't know if the kids know this, but before Taylor Swift and before the eras, there were Bob Dylan eras. But yeah, so you have like Christian Bale who plays the kind of folk. You have Cate Blanchett who nails Dylan as the kind of the controversial, like electric Dylan, a young boy playing kind of like this drifter but it's like the 50s. It's a quirky, unique movie. Richard Gere is kind of the like Billy the Kid version of Bob, kind of in his older age. And then Heath Ledger, of course, is playing what is probably the closest version of the real Dylan. Yeah. Just in the regards, like just with his like family, it has everything. It has kind of his mythology, but also some real life elements like the struggles he had with his family. And it's just quirky and weird, just like Dylan. Yeah. And I think it's like it perfectly encompasses what a Bob Dylan movie would be. It's not you're like, there will be a Bob Dylan movie soon. Yeah. By James Mangold. We can talk about him later.
Which will be much more straightforward.
Kind of doing that one kind of era of Dylan, that the iconic Dylan. But like it's just fun and different, and like you can't understand half of it because it's just so much Dylan mumbo jumbo, which I love. Like just it's him like there's a whole thing where Ben Whishaw is just the poet Dylan. And
where he just gets lost in his words, basically.
And all he's saying are things that Dylan said throughout his career. And you're like, what a strange and interesting dude.
So let's stay in that general folk kind of music, and let's go to Walk the Line.
Okay.
Which which everyone knows. It's
That's
great.
the one, I think,
It's the one, and also the one that broke the mold because Dewey Cox
takes it and then
satirizes it so hard that it kills movie music biopics, even though they still make them.
Yeah.
Joaquin and Reese as June and Johnny is probably the best like duo in a music biopic, other than Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett in What's Love Got to Do with It.
This movie, it looks cool. It sounds cool. It is, and it's not afraid to, a lot of, I think, biopics these days, and just really in history, they kind of skirt away from some of the more negative things.
Talking about you, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. We're talking about you, Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
Talking about a lot. But so the thing is with this one, it does feel like through most of the movie, you're kind of like, this dude kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid of it. Like, I mean, that's clear. That was a big part of his life that he is talked about.
And he's very open about it.
It's cool that it's in there and that you're not a full on like, yeah, you go, Johnny. You know, like, it's cool to see the rise.
He is, without a doubt, I mean, he's the man in black.
He rules. And we're not saying that just because we're living in Arkansas. Right? The man is sick. Can I pitch you this? What I will say, too, is also maybe the best use of, like, the actual actors, like, singing talents.
Yes.
That, like, they go for it and it works.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not trying to be just like them. They're trying to just do their version of it.
They're trying to match the charisma.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I already mentioned it, so I'm going to talk about What's Love Got to Do with It, which is, it is the most true, I don't think it's the most true version of it. Sorry, I said, it's like the most, like, what people understand about Tina Turner and Ike Turner's relationship is from this movie. Like, the way Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne play the two characters, it shows the domestic violence in probably a way that probably is, like, a little bit jarring. Like, you need, like, back then you didn't get content warnings.
Yeah.
But if you had gotten the content warning ahead of time, you would understand, like, Tina went through hell.
Yeah.
And through all of it, she still lived her life, became one of the most highest selling musicians of all time. I don't know why they showed us all these music biopics in elementary school, in, like, middle school.
Yeah, Selena was another big one.
Selena, La Bamba.
Yeah.
What's Love Got to Do with It? All these things that definitely you shouldn't be showing kids, but we saw them anyways.
All three traumatic. What do you learn about, like, culture as well? You know, like, I remember we watched Selena in Texas when I was in school in Texas. I mean, it's like, you didn't go a year without watching Selena. I mean, she's an icon. And with Tina Turner, it's also interesting though that, like, one of the, like, ones where now we get them all the time where they're like, they're still alive or they're, like, a little older, but now it's like, I mean, back then, like, Tina Turner was still, you know, like, a thing, you know, and now she's sadly passed, and it's like, you don't have to go back and revisit. Like, you got it. Someone will try.
They'll try.
They'll try.
Just like they tried with the Whitney Houston movie that I heard was not good.
No,
and the Amy Winehouse movie that I hear is not going to be good either.
That's one that's like too fresh.
I'm concerned. But let's go back into the past a little bit again. I want to talk about Coal Miner's Daughter. Okay. Which, as we know, is Sissy Spacek playing Loretta Lynn, Tommy Lee Jones as her husband. But it's just the story told straight up. Yeah. She's a coal miner's daughter. She sings a song about it that basically tells her whole life story that made it into a movie. It is, bar for bar, one of the best. Yeah. It is like, if you see the movie, you're going to be like, wow. Yeah. This is an insane movie for, like, 1980. Tommy Lee Jones sort of blows up after this. Yeah. He'd been in stuff. Yeah, but... Same like with Gary Busey and the Buddy Holly story. He had been in stuff, but then always forget about it. But then he, like, blew up afterwards. Yeah. It is just a wonderfully acted movie. And if you like Loretta Lynn, you're going to love this movie. So
I enjoy seeing the kind of rise and fall, or just rise and, you know, what just struggles in a movie form. I enjoy that. I know most of them are bad, but I also, I don't know, it's just...
There's something comforting. Yeah. Well, it's not comforting. I shouldn't, because a lot of these stories are sad because they go through some hard times. Yeah. But it's comforting to know that, well, it's comforting in a way that everyone has a struggle to go with. Yeah. And music biopics seem to be, like, the most, like, consistent. Life is hard, but you can make through it as long as you persevere. Yeah. But it doesn't always work that way too.
And I know too, things are fictionalized, but it does. It's nice to have kind of a behind, like you think about. I know that's probably not how Johnny Cash wrote Walk the Line, or like Ring of Fire, but you're like, oh, man, he was really going through something.
It's a motif.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about Jamie Foxx as Ray.
I totally forgot about this one.
It's just like when you think of it, you're like, Jamie Foxx was an impersonator, a great impersonator. But then he made this movie, and you're like, bro, he's Ray.
Yeah.
He's Ray Charles 100%.
So good.
Like, you don't even know it's Jamie Foxx after about like 10 minutes of watching the movie. That's how good it is.
Well, and Ray just has like, again, another icon.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone talks about like, which ones would you want to see? Like, I want to see the ones that are huge.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for making a Queen one. That makes sense.
But
at the same time, I'm like,
when not half the band, when some members of the band are still trying to profit off of the legacy of Queen, you can't really. I think if they would have went with the actual true story, they probably would have had more money coming into Queen. I mean, Queen's gonna make money for the rest of their lives anyway. So
they didn't include Wayne's World either, so that's real crazy.
I know, right?
You can really tell now the ones that are very much look at this life, and then look at this like look at this person who was not a perfect person. You know
what I think? I don't know if they've done a Little Richard one yet. Have they?
I think they did. Right?
Well, yeah. If they did, they should redo another. Because I read the John Waters interview with Little Richard. If you've never read this interview, it's amazing because John Waters was like obsessed with Little Richard, like fanboy, stan.
Yeah.
And he gets the opportunity to interview him, and he goes to interview him. And it's like, John Waters explains it like going to church, basically. But then he realizes that the man that he idolized was not the man that he was interviewing anymore. Because he had turned back to God and had renounced that he was not gay anymore. And so John Waters almost gets into like a fist fight with Little Richard. That's what I want the movie to be. I want John Waters interviewing Little Richard, telling a story.
Dave Grohl also has a fun Little Richard story.
Little Richard just seems like a dude that would make an amazing music biopic.
Yeah. Is there one that you are like a band or a musician that you're like, I would love to see it?
Well, I think the punk scene in LA in the 80s.
We don't have enough.
Is like so much happened in New York too.
Yeah.
It's so much happened in the punk scene in the 80s that it's insane.
Yeah.
It could be a whole miniseries. I think, I don't know. POD?
Oh, yes, please. And like Katy Perry's the after credit scene.
Yeah.
Like we're like, hey, we need someone to meet you.
Cinematic universe.
Katy Perry.
I think a Katy Perry versus Taylor Swift feud movie would be interesting.
That would be fun. I think we're so close to. We have to probably have a boy band movie soon.
Soon, yeah.
Not like a fictionalized, not a Fort Town. I just watched The Idea of You, which has like a boy band, like a legit like the boy band war of like the late 90s, early 2000s, where it's just
you got to get O-Town in there.
Oh, you gotta get O-Town. Gotta get 98 Degrees. Gotta get
I think that would work better as a documentary. I think this is something you mentioned the other day. Is like once you make a documentary about a musician, it's hard to make a movie.
Once you make a really great documentary about a musician, we're looking at you, Amy, and whoever's making Back to Black. There's already a fantastic documentary on all of that. That's not even 10 years old.
Yeah, which also respects her legacy.
Yes. I've always wanted. I think someone did a Kurt Cobain one. I think
Gus Van Sant did it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I'd like to have like a really great version of.
Yeah.
More just from like, because Dave Grohl, everyone loves Dave, but like having that kind of perspective of being in like punk bands and then Nirvana and then just like doing Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
I think his story fits that kind of mold, but also he's just always been a nice guy. If you read his book, he's just always been a fun dude. So I just don't know if I would watch 2 hours of Dave Grohl being a nice person and making music.
Who wouldn't? I think the issue with doing a Kurt Cobain movie is like Courtney Love is still living with that trauma, and Frances, their kid is. Yeah. You don't know what she wants to allow or not allow.
Do you think we're gonna get a U2 movie one day?
We are, unfortunately. As much as I love the old U2,
yes.
I do not like Bono in his current form.
Like the Edge just opens up a box and it's just got his hat and he's just like, it's just Bono. He's just got his glasses.
Suiting up, yeah. Oh, yeah. So there are plenty out there. Yeah. There's amazing ones. There's bad ones. We talked about La Bamba and Selena, which I think La Bamba is one of those ones that you watch when you're like 10 or 11, 12. You don't know anything about the musician. And then to find out what happened, you're like, holy crap, this dude was going to be a mega superstar.
Yeah. Otis Redding is another one. Yeah. That one fascinates me so much that like his hit didn't even hit until like he was gone.
But there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
We could talk forever.
No.
We always do. I cut these are actually about an hour long. I cut them down to 10 minutes.
So. People are worried about us.